Y to the O to the U to the tube. Welcome back, tubers. This is part, 18 maybe, of the Bandits. I haven't got much done this week. I had some issues with my car. Crank pulley fell off in Inverness, 50 miles away, so I had to wait 7 hours for the tow truck and then eventually get it back in a low loader, which is magic. And then I spent about a day trying to get the old pulley out and order bits and look for them on eBay. Can't get them in Britain unless you want to pay 450 quid for a crank pulley, and I'm not. So I got one from Germany for 250 quid, but I'll have to wait a couple of weeks till it comes. Anyway, that's nothing to do with Bandits. So let's get right into this one. This week, there's not been a lot happening, to be fair. I've been busy doing other stuff. What has been happening? Not a lot, really. I've got my clutch push rod fitted. You'll see that. I've got my hose replaced and repaired from my previous balls up. And what else I've done? Designed the battery box. Give you a wee clue how to do that. If you've never done one before, I'm sure they're pretty straightforward, to be honest. And that's about it for this week. Not a lot at all. The exhaust headers, took them out. Might have to split them to get them back on again because the 2 and 3 ports aren't keen on going in. But I really don't want to split it underneath because they're an absolute nightmare to get back together if you do that, But I might end up having to do that. So that's this week's entertainment. Not a huge amount to see, I'm afraid, but some weeks you do a lot, some weeks you don't. And the weather's not exactly been great for doing stuff either. Not that I can use that as an excuse because the bike's in my fucking living room. Anyway, let's not go there. So that's the crack. Get yourself a cup of tea, sit down, relax and enjoy. Right, the old disc's off, the new one's on, but I'm not using these bolts again because they're absolute crap. Look at the state of that. That's been out once. Mangled. There's no way they're going back in. I've ordered up a set of stainless bolts. Not only that, get yourself decent quality tools. It's done to the fucking T30. I mean, they were Loctited in, but they weren't that tight, you know what I mean? I wasn't leaning on it or anything. It's twisted the whole end of the thing. So, don't buy that cheap shite. Get yourself something decent. So, that's going to stay off for just now until my bolts arrive next Tuesday. I'm going to order up some more hose. It'll hopefully be here next week as well. And we'll have another bash at those fittings, or I'll maybe see how much it is for a set of lines that are made up. It'll be a lot bloody easier. Anyway, that's what we're facing, okay? So we'll leave it at that. We have the spacers back. That was quick. Anybody looking for some machining work? Use Dave Morris. If you need his Facebook address, give me a shout in the comments and I'll send you it. Very reasonable. I think it was about 40 quid for a spacer. Getting this machined and also the postage back. I mean, you can't argue with that. I mean, my local engineering place, they start at about 80 quid an hour or something like that. So, it's taken a fair bit of time and material to make that. And fair play, I mean, he's done a great job of it. He's radiused the edges and everything. Proper job. Well done, Dave. Thank you very much, mate. I appreciate it. This will obviously need a paint. Also got this in the post today. This is for the skull tank because of my issue with the catch because it had been bent under. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but obviously the tank had been, they'd either lost the key or the lock hadn't stopped working, so they'd been prying at the tank at the front to get it to open. And when they did that, they'd obviously bent the part that the hook goes into. They bent it right round the back. How they managed that, I have no idea. Anyway, so that's that arrived as well. And also some fresh new carb clips from Fowler's. These were about a tenner each, which I thought was reasonable for Suzuki bits, so I just fucking bought them. And the ones that I've got, the ends are all twisted and stuff, so can't have that on my lovely bike, can I? No danger. Oil lens I haven't done anything about. I've been working in a 600 this morning. I'll show you what I've been doing with that. So we're doing a few lines today. I'm using brass fittings. I'm using a 90 at the top and a T here. The reason this gap's so big is just because of the length of the fittings, obviously. I mean, they're pretty much butted up against each other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this end on here, stick that into the thingy, put the clip on it, and then what I'll do is I'll cut this end once the tank's on. It'll obviously need to be cut down to probably about here somewhere. But it's better to have too much than too little, eh? Also got my oil filter today, so I'm going to change that out while the front of the engine's in an easy state to do that job without exhausts and oil cooler lines in the way. I made a complete balls on my oil cooler lines, as you've probably seen, but I'm going to just buy another couple of fittings and another length of hose, and I'm going to persevere because I'm not buying new hoses. And if you own a Bandit and you're wondering why I've got two fuel pipes, it's because the carbs are off a GSXR 1100. These have already been dynajetted to suit a GSXR engine, so they should work with the Bandit quite easily. The Bandits, they've just got a single line coming up the middle here, and it tees off to the tank, so that'll hopefully sit somewhere like that once it's all in. And like I say, connect up to the tank. Drilled in a couple of holes in the back of this back bar that I missed before. And what else did I do? Not a lot. Got my spacers back from Dave Morris. Excellent job. You'll notice he's chamfered the corners and everything on it. And extremely reasonably priced, even for a tight arse like me. So I'll get them fitted once I get my disc bolts, so that I can fit the monster disc. I've just left that one there so I don't lose it. You wouldn't script it. My bolts have just arrived, not 2 minutes after I made that last video. I buy a few bits off of this guy on eBay. His bolts are usually reasonably priced compared to some, shall we say. Some of them are cheaper, some that are about the same, but the quality is always pretty decent. I've used them before in my Z, so I'm going to use these again. Talking about my Z, I've got an issue with the petrol tank in it. It's been lined at some point and it's starting to come off a bit at the top, so a bit annoyed about that, but there's nothing I can do. It's just one of these things. So I'm on the lookout for an aftermarket but new tank for the Z. They're not cheap, they're just under 500 quid. Oucha. Okay, so we have the new spacer and the shaved caliper hanger fitted. Tried the brake on, lines up fine. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this off the hanger, give it a paint, then we can do a final assembly on this little lot. But yeah, I'm quite happy with that. I've got my shaved down spacer on this side, 3mm off it, and the custom spacers on this side. And I've trimmed a tiny bit off the caliper hanger. I'll be honest here, I could have probably got away without trimming anything off of this. I've only trimmed I skimmed 2mm off it, and I don't know what happened, if I measured it wrong or what the fuck happened, but there's the width of 2 washers. It's how far off the caliper is from being centralised. So 2 washers would be what, maybe 1.5mm or something. So yeah, I probably could have got away with not skimming the hanger, but never mind, it's done now. I'll just put the washers in behind the caliper, it'll be fine. So I need to take this out, because as you can see, it's not the prettiest. Give it a quick squirt of the old Dupol black, and then we'll refit it, and that'll be the back end pretty much done. I just decided to splash out in some genuine Suzuki carb intake clips. These go around the front here of the carburetor. Pow, where my finger is. The ones I had were slightly bent at the end, but I just thought, since I'm going to have this as quite a good bike, I thought I'd put some decent stuff in it. They were 40 quid odd off Fowler's, and they came in 2 days. Can't argue with that. So I'll fit them as well. I've sprayed the hanger, caliper hanger up. It's sitting out drying just now. Not much else I can do. I'll maybe mount the cooler and check the line length. You join me outside again. I'm using this rubber that I've got, which is about 2, maybe 3 mil thick. You can see the two parts that I've marked out, one here and one here. These will be sandwiched between the top mount and the cooler and the bottom mount, and all that does is it dampens out the vibrations from the frame and the engine from causing the cooler to crack. It's also got a rubber mount at the top behind. I mean, it's probably overkill, but you know, these things ain't cheap, so you need to kind of look after them. And the last thing you'd want is oil pissing out everywhere when you're away out on a run. Right, so we fitted the oil cooler. That's all tickety-boo and it's nice and tight, so it's not going anywhere. I've also loosely thrown the exhaust off the bike and stuck a couple of bolts in either end. But come down this side. It's quite a good angle. I don't know what this exhaust's off. I don't suppose it's a 1200 Bandit. That tailpipe there, I would like it to be coming up maybe from where my finger is instead of way back there. But it fits at the front. Plenty of clearance underneath as well. You know, quite a decent fit to be honest. Just this bit I'm not that keen on. But I'll stick a can on it, see what it looks like. I also painted my caliper hanger. Another bonus is it clears the sump. Is it here? Yeah, just clears the sump. So that's a bonus. And like I say, it's not that. It's not one of those 4-inch ones that hangs down bottom of the engine and has like a collector for 4. That really looks hideous in my book, like. But yeah, I think it looks alright. The old exhaust. I'll get the middle pipes lined up and stuck in their ports. But like I say, this is just a temporary job because I still got the oil lines to do. But putting the exhaust on will tell me how long the lines need to be, because obviously the lines will have to avoid these pipes, these down pipes on their way into the engine, down in them 2 holes in there. So I'll get the pipes that I made up, the ones that I made a colossal arse of, stick them in place. I suspect they're actually too long, but I'll stick them in place and see what they look like. Well, I'll tickle my tits till Tuesday. It does fit. Can hard get a decent shot of it because it's in behind my finger there, but you know, it's clearing the exhaust pipe. I'll put the one on the other side, and if it's the same, then I can make up a new line for this one, because like I showed you before, see the tape? The tape was butted up to the fitting. That's how far out the fitting the hose has come, which is too far. And I'll also use oil as recommended by a few people, but it's a pity they didn't invent a tool. Well, they did. It's an American thing, like a funnel that the hose goes into. But one of them would be laughing. There's maybe a better shot of the bottom. I've not tightened it up obviously, because like I say, I'm just testing them for length. But by the time that is tightened up, the top one's kind of tightened up. It'll be fine. Plenty of room. Avoiding exhaust, you know. I'll just angle it out at the top. I've got 30-degree fittings at the top, 45s at the bottom. So the 30-degree, you know, if it's like that and it's hitting the exhaust, I can just turn the fitting round a few degrees, you know, and that'll clear the exhaust, stop any possibilities of melting the lines or anything ridiculous, you know. So I'm quite happy with that. Just need to make up the lines properly without making a cod of them. Oh, I also fitted a new oil filter, you'll see it hiding in there. So that's today's entertainment. So we're back masking, and it's proving to be a touch tedious, this one. And it's one of those jobs where you kind of think, maybe I should have chosen a simpler design. However, I didn't. So, as you can see, I've used mostly masking tape. I used one bit of paper here for some bizarre reason, I don't even know myself. But another quick one for you is I'm masking inside here as well, so that it doesn't look like it's not got flake in it, obviously, when it's meant to be silver. Yeah, and I've just followed the line of the masking. And another quick tip for you is, on the undersides, where all your tapes come round, your fine line tape, they'll spring, so just put a bit of the green tape over the top of it, and it'll stop them from springing up. Because what will happen if they spring up, the paint will get underneath them, and you'll see it, it'll stick out like a sore thumb. That's if you want to do it properly. This bottom edge here, that you're probably thinking, oh, why is you not masked that? That's a bit rough. Well, it's not really, because there's a under tray that comes along here, and now that I've seen it, I will actually mask it. But yeah, stick a bit of tape on the underside of these fine lines, just to keep them from springing. You can see I've done them there as well. Do that on all the panels, yeah. That'll make your life golden. So this one just needs a couple of bits of tape, one down here, and we'll tape in this back bit as well, so the overspray doesn't get everywhere. Not that you'll see it because it'll be behind the light, but you know, we'll know it's there. So we'll just tape it in for the sake of 2 minutes with a bit of tape, and the backs of these as well. These flimsy bits that always seem to break in Ducatis. Well, this one's broken twice in me so far, so but that's just the way of it. So that's the masking. Like I say, I'm waiting for some decent weather. I think I might be waiting a while, but you can kind of see what I'm getting at now with the other patterns at the back. Yeah, the green bits will stay silver, the rest will be like these panels here will be a light blue, I've decided, and I'm going to try and fade it to the front. If it doesn't work, I'll just hit it with a darker blue. That'll obliterate it all and hide everything. So that's the tank back masked. I made a bit of a boo-boo up the front here in the design stage, because there's like a white line that comes through and it shouldn't be there, but it's too late now, so I'm just going to have to live with it. I think that's maybe it there. I never even thought to check, so that's a bit of advice, check. Anyway, it's all done and it's all tied down. When you're doing these lines, what I do is I use thick tape, yeah, and I split it in half with the craft knife. And then if you're getting close to the edge, you know, that's what you're ideally wanting to be, pretty close to the edge of the fine line, yeah. You don't want to be over the fine line at any stage, and you want to have plenty of tape on. So if you cut a bit of tape, say, right, and you put it along here, and it was just on the fine line at this side, get another bit of tape and tape over it, because guaranteed that's the bit that'll lift. And then you want to just gently press it all down, check it all, make sure it's all covered. Could maybe do a little bit there, and then you're ready to paint. And like I say, the paint for this one, I'm going to either attempt to fade it, but I don't think that'll go well. So what I might end up doing is the bits that are off in the lighter blue metal flake, then the parts at the front, which is all like solid, as you can see there, that'll be the darker blue. But I wanted to try and fade them between the dark and the light, so it wasn't like a huge change, you know. But we'll see how it goes and see if I can be arsed, basically. But I think it'll look either way. Kind of, if I just do the solid bit, the dark blue, and do all these bits, the light blue. But I'll have to decide shortly, because if I am going to do all these the light blue, what I need to do is mask off the dark blue area, and then do them light blue, and then mask off all of this back area, and then do the rest dark blue. It's a masking nightmare, to be honest. I've been here for about a good couple of hours anyway, masking all this up, and it's kind of brain numbing stuff. Just stick some music on and go for it. But at least that's it, ready now to get some metal flake on. Right, crazy gang, back again. I'm measuring the clutch push rod length, or trying to calculate it today. As you can see, I've managed to scratch my cover, so that really set me off to a good start to the day. Not just once, but twice. Anyway, never mind. What I've done is I've put the push rod in the engine, okay, because my engine's a Bandit engine, my GSXR clutch. It's not going to be the same as the Bandit push rod or the GSXR push rod, funnily enough. So what I've done is I've put this in the engine, and I've obviously had it sticking out through this hole here, somewhere like that. And what I've done is I've measured from here to, I've obviously put a flat across the front of this to measure the height of this rod that's sticking out, if you like. So from sort of there to there, I've come up with 47 mil. Then I've measured from here, probably the wrong way to do it, but never mind, to the underside of the, where this attaches to the casing on the inside, yeah, which is this thread here and this thread here. I've measured both of them, and they come out to be, from the underside of this to the face that I've measured off, is 25 mil. This is it here, eh? This is maybe easier looking at it like this. This two parts here are the parts that it bolts into. So I've got 150 mil rod, okay? And then I've taken the piston here and I've measured from the bottom of that piston. Let me show you. You put the rod in like so. I've measured from the bottom of the hole, yeah, to level with the top of these. Also a straight edge across here, using the verniers, etc. And that has worked out to be 41, I think it was. Or am I talking shite? No, 41 it was indeed. So what I've done is I've taken 41 off of 150, which has given me a length of 109. So this is 150 in total. You've got 47 and 25, which is 72, minus 31. Sorry, 31 was the measurement for the inside of the piston. Am I confusing you? I'm confusing myself here. So the bottom line is it works out to be 109 mil, but that is with this piston fully pushed down the bore. And there's like 10 mil from, see where my finger is, just below there to the top of that piston is like 10 mil. So I'm not sure if it should be up a bit from there, the piston, you know, because it's on a spring. But if you look through here, you won't see because I don't have the torch on, but you can actually see the bottom of the piston, which is on the end of the spring. So I'll just put a shout out to the old school people, see if they reckon that. What I really need to know is ideally if this piston sits there when the system's bled 10 mil down the bore, because it seems like an awful amount of, like 10 mil's quite a fair bit to throw, if you like. So I'll see what they come back with before I cut this. But like I say, I've calculated it out to be 109 long. And I seem to remember that Bandits are, I think they're 80, and the GSXR Slabby and Slingshot are either 92 or 102. So it seems quite long to me. But we'll see what they come back with before I get the grinder out. But that'll be another job off the Bandit list. I might be able to polish out this scratch. It's not too deep on this one. See my grotty fingerprints all over it. I'm hoping I'll be able to do that because it's really annoying me, to be honest. So we'll see what comes back from that, and then I'll take it from there. I'll try it and I'll let you know how it fits afterwards, okay? Cheers. Okay, we're back measuring the clutch push rod today. I've fitted this loosely, haven't screwed it in, obviously. Bolted it in even. There's bolts here that hold it in place. But what I have done is I've made sure that the dowels, there's dowels on the end of these that go into the actual casing, made sure they're cleaned, and I've chapped this in as far as it needs to go so that it's flush with the casing, yeah. This part here is it's spring loaded, as you'll see when I push it down, yeah. And the rod sits inside the middle of that hole for the clutch push rod. The clutch push rod doesn't sit at the top. When this is at the top, that's not where the clutch push rod sits, because then this has to move with the pressure of the fluid up to activate your clutch by pushing the rod through the engine block. That makes sense. So what I've done is I've pushed this down and I've measured from the bottom of the hole to the top of this lip here, in line with like from here to the bottom of the hole, it comes to 31. I've also measured the width of this unit here, this whole unit here. It comes to 47. And also, by absolute coincidence, when I pushed the 150mm rod through the case from this face here till the end of the rod is 47, but that's just a sheer coincidence. So I've done a quick calculation, and according to this is sitting 14mm through the casing, okay? So we can have a look here and we can see that this is going down 31. So 31mm plus 14mm is 45. So that's only 2mm off the entire length of the part that goes in the middle, yeah? So pretty much basically, in a nutshell, to save trying to explain my convoluted calculations, etc., is the push rod sits pretty much level with this. So if you ever need to do this yourself, you don't need to fanny about taking a million measurements like I have been. All you need to do is to put your push rod in the engine, attach your casing cover to the engine, and then just measure the push rod until it's level with the top of this part of the casing here. And that'll be the length you need. Now I'm going to double check this before I cut it, obviously, because you can't add metal on, you can only take it away. And like I say, that was with this part here, the piston, I guess, that's going up and down in the bore. That's with it fully pushed pretty much down. But it needs to go down a bit, because obviously, like I say, when you pull the clutch, the fluid will make that piston rise up. See where my finger is? Rise up in the bore there. So when you engage the clutch, this will come up to where my finger is probably. It won't move that much, but it'll move at least 5mm, I would imagine, 4 or 5mm. So what I'll do is I'll start on the long side, which is with this piston fully down, which comes to 31 from the top. And if that doesn't work, once I've bled it all up, I can always just take the casing off, should I say, and just cut a mil off the rod until it does work, but it should work at that. If you look through this hole here, you can just see the bottom of the piston. You can't see it here, obviously, because there's no torchlight on my phone. Let's see if I can get a torchlight on the phone. Oh, am I clever? Not there, that's the bleed nipple. If you look through here, you can just see the bottom of the piston there. That's possibly the spring, actually. Yeah, it's the spring, it's not the bottom of the piston. So it's fairly down inside here as it sits. So I'm going to start with that and I'll see how it looks. But like I say, I'm going to double check. But as far as I can tell, if you take it to the edge of the actual casing, not the edge of this, not this edge where my finger is, this edge here, hold on. Yeah, I've already explained it, haven't I? I don't need to keep going over the same old thing. if you take it to this edge here, the measurement from the inside, then you'll be golden. So basically I need to take 47mm off my rod, which is 150, because it's sticking through the casing 47. I'll put that in, put it into the engine. If the engine casing tightens up fine without any issues, that'll be good. If I can feel a load of resistance before the casing's fully home, it's obviously too long, so I'll take it out and take a mil off and keep doing that until it's sorted. So that's another job off the list for the Bandito. I haven't been doing much this week because I've been busy fixing my car. I had a bit of an issue. I broke down in Inverness, 50 odd miles away, and my crank pulley had gone, so that was great. The other entertainment today is I'm drawing up the battery box. I'll just show you that. Welcome back to the garage stroke living room. This is where my battery box is going. If you see, I've got a bar across there. What I should have done ideally was put that further forward so that the battery box is further forward, but I didn't, so I'll just have to live with it. And the battery box will basically go from the edge of this cross piece. It'll come down here slightly, and then it'll go across and up. And what I'll do is I'll tab it from here, this point, onto this bar. You can see there, I've got a hole at that end already. Got another hole at this end, but the wiring's obviously in the way of it. And that way the battery should fit. I'm going to try and keep it as high as I can within reason, but not so that it's hitting these or anywhere or like that close to these, because obviously I'll need to get my terminals onto the battery as well, you know. And I was also contemplating, let's see if I can get a better view of this. Not really, that's maybe the best view. I was contemplating, like when I put the tabs on here, putting a plate up the front, and then hopefully seeing if there's enough room for this CDI and the starter etc, and the fuse box, to maybe get them in the front of the battery tray, which would look quite clean, so that when you took, you know, like I've also got an under tray that's going on here. That's what I put these tabs on for. But it'll look a bit cleaner, you know, if I can get everything up the front rather than have it in a tray at the back. But if I don't have room at the front and I have to put them at the back, then, well, so be it. That's just the way it is. But yeah, that's next on the list. I'm in the middle of drawing it up, and then I'll get my brother to get one of his minions to make it for me, hopefully for free. That would be nice. Or maybe I'll throw him a bottle of malt in his direction. I've also got the back wheel sorted. Bar the chain, obviously, there's no chain on it. But the caliper brackets on, as you can see. Shiny shit we like. So that's on. The hideous disc's still there, but there's not much I can do about that. It's not the same as the one that they advertised, so I'm a bit hacked off, but it'll just have to do, you know. I did think about painting the centre black just to make it less obvious, but can't be arsed. I've had enough of painting, and it's too cold outside. I've got my exhaust headers off. The middle two ports are proving to be a bit of a pain in the arse to get in, so I might have to split them. I really don't want to split them because I know they're a nightmare to get back on. You know, once you get your headers in and then try to get this back piece of the exhaust onto the front piece, it's a right pain in the hole. But this exhaust, like I said before, it kind of sticks quite far back. I'll see what it's like when it's on though. It can always be cut and shut, you know. What else has been happening? Not a lot really. That's about it. I still haven't done the oil lines. I did make up some fuel lines. The reason why that's so long is because there's a T and an elbow. But it'll still reach the tank fine. You know, I'll have to cut down this hose once it's in place, obviously. And I've still got to get a breather hose that goes from here, carb free, back to the fuel tap. It's a vacuum tap. Fitted my levers, fitted my masters. These are temporary. I've ordered some new ones from China Land, so it won't be a Hayabusa Bandit. The paint reacted in that one as well at the top, but the actual bodies themselves fine. It's just on that lid for some reason.
and round about this screw. It kind of went a bit wonky, but like I say, they're not staying anyway, so that'll get moved. Front end, well, as you can see by this unruly mess, I'll have to sort that out. I'll also find a location for some horns under there. But I'm hoping to get back into this. Like I say, I was fixing my car the last weekend. I also had to go to Inverness for stuff, so I didn't get much chance last weekend to get work done on it. But I will get back to it, I promise. So that's this week's progress. Not a huge amount, really. In fact, not a lot at all, really, compared to the last few videos. But progress is progress, I guess. You know. Try to think of what else I've been doing. Not a lot, really. That's it. I need to take off this, and I'm going to find a bracket off of this hole. Once I get my battery in, obviously, I'll just be a little one down here, and then this can go in there, like up beside the front of the frame, you know. And I'll get some Tygon hose because it looks sexy, and take it to the reservoir. That'll look okay. I also need to find somewhere to get a exhaust hanger off. I'm hoping I can maybe take it off the back of the footrests, possibly. You know, but we'll see once the exhaust's finalised where it's coming from. I don't want a great big high exhaust up or anything like that. I just want something short and stubby. Comes out here, hopefully. That would be nice. That's the plan anyway. That's what I would like to happen. More I look at that disc, the more it annoys me. Really. I might have to paint it. Oh God. Never mind. But yeah, that's this week's entertainment. So once I get my battery box drawn up, like I say, we'll get it fabricated. It'll have tabs back to here, and the electrics will mount here at the front. Yet to be decided. And then I can get the wiring sorted out as well in its final locations. But yeah, that's about it. I've also got to turn some, I've got some 10mm steel, 10mm stainless for the screws for the coils to go into. That's another job I'm going to do today. It's all little jobs, you know, it's not great progress, but all these little things take time. And this is a clutch push rod. That's the hole where it goes in. I need to take this sprocket off and get a 525 on there as well. Quite a list of jobs to do, really, but we'll get there. I need to go and chop this, so I'll take it out and get chopping, get the angle grinder fired up. Right, that'll do for this week. Like I say, it's not a huge amount of progress, but progress is progress, so that's just the way it is. Some weeks are good, some weeks are not so good. While I'm here, I've also backmasked my Busa paintwork. What a mission that was, I can tell you. It's a good argument for why you want to just have a single colour paint job. I'm going to try and fade it light blue to dark blue, metal flake candies from the back to the front. Also done this seat unit, and also the mudguards down there. There's just a bit at the back in the mudguard, thankfully, but it didn't take any less time to mask. But this one here was a right pain. Took me most of a day to mask this up, so I was just taking my time. You know, I wanted it done right. I don't want to be able to see an edge or a flipping piece in it that some arsehole will come along and go, oh, you fucking missed that bit there, didn't you? Then I'd have to punch their lights out. So, yeah, we're getting there on the paintwork side of things. All I need some decent weather. But up here in Bonnie, Scotland, we'd snow this week. So I might have to take it indoors to my garage stroke booth and paint it in there and just put up with getting poisoned by fumes. But it's needing done. It's needing done soon. You can't leave this stuff on forever. This masking tape on forever. You know, it's been on for like a couple of days now. I don't really want it to be on for another couple of days, so I'll be getting this paintwork started in the next day or two. I'm away to cut this clutch push rod. I don't have a permanent marker or a Sharpie, so what I've done is I've marked it with tape. I've marked it at 102mm, which is the same as the GSXR 1100, so I presume the casings on the Bandit and the GSXR have got the same offset, which is handy. Good old Suzuki. So like I say, I'll cut this back just to this side of the tape, and then we'll try it for size and see what like. Hopefully it'll work. So there we are, I've cut it to the end of this tape, just no more. What I'll do is I'll just tidy up the end there so that it doesn't get caught in anything, and we'll try it in. These are my new Jaws vice protectors. £2 off of eBay, not £2 off of eBay, £2 off of Temu. And I tell you what, they're all right. They're magnetic and everything. They're as good as what you can buy for normal money. It'll just save the metal getting marked when I'm cutting stuff. This is what happens when you buy shit off of the eBay from China. Yeah, it's a little bit on the small side. So that'll either be going back or go in the bin. What a waste of money. Okay, this is a design of the battery box. This part at the front is like a plate that comes up, like I mentioned. This is the sizes that I'm going to be using. This is the battery I'm going to be using. Now, it's a YTZ10. They can be tilted to pretty much 90 degrees, but mine will be upright, obviously. This is the size, dimensions of the battery is 150 long. So I've made this 160 outside edge to outside edge. The stainless is going to be 2mm thick, so that's 2mm, 2mm 4mm. That brings it down to 156. And I'll put rubber, line it, 3mm rubber I've got, or 2mm rubber I think it is. I'll just glue a bit on the inside of the box. So that's why you need to make it bigger. So like I say, it's 150 long, but this will be 160. So there's enough room for the battery to get in with the rubbers, etc. Same with the height. The height there is 92. I've shortened the height. I'll tell you why. The height of the battery is because the terminals are on the side. So I've put the height of mine to... What did I put the height of that to? I think it was 80 mil. I'll just write that down as we go. Just making it up as I go, you know. So that leaves 15 mil plus the 2 mil, 17 mil of the battery sitting proud of the top of here. This is just a catch for a rubber strap. They'll be the same on the other side. And these are going to be the bars that go to the frame that I showed you. This will attach to the frame down here as well. There'll be a hole sort of around about here somewhere. And there'll be a hole at the end of this bar, probably about here somewhere. It's actually going to be plate, should I say. My drawing is just a sketch, yeah, but I'm sure you could guess that by how crap it is. So that'll actually be a plate that's going along here, and the same at that side, obviously. Yeah. Again, 2mm stainless all round. And this is where I'm going to hopefully get my CDI in here. I think I might be struggling, to be honest, but I might get the starter motor and I might get the fuse box in here. I think the CDI might have to go in the back here. I'll just mount it from side to side, something like that, in between these bars, if you like, that are coming out the back of it. So that's the plan. I'm sending it off to my highly trained monkey boy who's better than me at AutoCAD, and hopefully we'll get that built for the next video. Okay, cheers for now. Also, just a quick one on the clutch push rod. The length I ended up with for it was 98mm. So if you've ever found yourself a Bandit engine, a GSXR clutch, if you go for a 98mm push rod, you'll not be far away. It might actually need to be cut down marginally, because it's right at the back. The piston's right at the back, pretty much. So I might need to take a couple of mil off that yet. But what I'll do is I'll try bleeding it at 98. If it works at 98, fine, I'll just leave it. If there's issues, not that there should be, but you never know, I'll cut it down a couple of mil. if the spring's not returning or whatever because it's too coil bound, I'll maybe knock a couple of mil off it. So that's this week's entertainment. Hope you enjoyed it. Come back for the next one. Hopefully there'll be more to see. Right, I've redone my oil line. As you can see, it's not scraped to death and gnarled to bits. I've yet to screw it in. I need to oil it, and I need to get some rubber for this so that I don't damage it when I put it in the vise. And I also need to get the shifter onto this end to screw it so that nut comes up to here and that this doesn't move. You need to mark this so that you know that this hasn't pushed itself back out the socket when you do this, yeah? Same on this side. I'll mark it, probably just put some tape on the braid right up to there, and that way I'll be able to tell if it's trying to push its way out when I tighten this up, yeah? But that was an expensive lesson, 40 quid for new hose and two new fittings. But that's what happens when you go at things bloody hammer and tongs and try and force things into places they're not meant to go, and lose the tip of stuff. So my advice is stay calm, collected, and don't cost yourself money. Another quick one. Got this off a Temu. It's for cleaning my spray gun out. I think it was about 3 quid or something, 4 quid. It was dirt cheap anyway, so that'll come in handy because my other set's kind of on its way out. I've had it for a few years now. Alright, cheers. Bye for now.